Hello, hello, hello. Making an art video. So, um, this. So, I am finishing up this thing here, and I am very tired. Still tired from the lung illness, but it's getting better every day, and I am so grateful for that. I'm doing my steaming. I'm doing my art. I'm cuddling with Papa Dog, taking care of myself, not taking drugs, not taking medication, not hurting myself, not taking anything that is bad for me, not eating chocolate, not drinking coffee, not doing anything that's unhealthy. No meat, no animal products, being completely vegan, whole food, doing meditation, yoga, inwardness, lots of reflection, or lots of reflecting on my life. Painful, 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 painful life I've lived. Not easy, but it's better than running away from it. It's better than escape routes that lead me astray. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. Escape routes. Most people are in some kind of escaping mechanism. And when they do this, when they escape, the things become worse. Not only do they cause themselves suffering in the process, they cause others suffering as well. When we escape, we cause other people and other beings, animals too, because lots of suffering. You know, the parents cause their children suffering when the child does something that goes against the self-image, which is an escape mechanism, goes against the self-image of the mother or father. You know, for example, I will buy something. I will buy a purse that is not up to code for my parents. I get into real deep emotional trouble for that. That purse is low class, they will say, and my mother will even cry over that. That's the neurotic upbringing. That's the neurosis. You know, on the surface, towards other people, it's all well behaved. Yeah. They're like, yeah, no problem, everything cool. But within our family, you know, the internal family dynamic, as soon as I slightly go against the code of conduct, you know, and that was very interesting for me to hear someone else talk about it in that film, by Jamie Johnson, when he was interviewing all of these people that also grew up in these very neurotic families, where they have these real strict self-images and family images. Boy, I could completely relate to that. It was shocking. I mean, we don't have, it's not the same financial type of situation. Right? My parents live way over their means, and they don't have that many means as those people have, like Jamie Johnson, for example, or Petra Ecclestone, or Sam Newhouse. But I could so identify with these people, particularly much with Sam Newhouse. I really identified myself with that story. I mean, not the whole person, because obviously he's a guy and he's into fencing and sports and all of this, and I am not into any kind of martial arts and sports at all. Never was. But what I could really identify with is how he suffered from this very, very neurotic family dynamic where they have these self-images. And that's what Dr. Shaneberg called the yank back effect. We're like on a leash. And and if you try to get out of that range that the leash permits you to walk within, if you try to get out of that range, you get violently yanked back into the permitted range. So the example is that with the purse, for example, or if I buy the wrong shoes, and he even brought up that very example. If he buys the wrong shoes, and they will make sure to let him know that that goes against the family code of conduct, or that's below, the shoes are below their expectations or something, and this has been the case my entire life when I was growing up. So my brother and I grew up thinking that the world we live in does not permit individualness. It does not permit just being. It does not permit just being you. You can't just be you. You have to conform. And, well, that is the case with almost all humans. Almost all. In some shape or form. Oh, my flowers are coming. Yay! Yay, that's the Federal Express truck. Yay. Oh, my flowers are here. Oh my gosh. I'm going to show you the flowers. When they come out, when they start blooming, I'll show you my roses. My beauties. Ah, this is so awesome. I'm so excited. Still going to finish up the video because right now I'm in this process of doing this. And then I will run downstairs and unpack my roses and take off the plastic foil so that they can breathe. They are living beings. People should never forget that roses are living beings. They breathe, they live, they have a metabolism. Just because they don't talk, they don't move like you do. They don't move like, like this here. That doesn't mean they're not alive. Okay? They are very alive, just like we are. Thank you. That's awesome. It's very awesome. So the way I live my life, the more conscious I become about this, the more I become. Hey, old lady, just brought your package. Yay! I will take care of it in a moment. The more I know, the more conscious I become Maybe it was not the roses, I don't know. The more conscious I become about this, the more I detect it when these neurotic things happen in my environment, from my parents or surroundings and other people. The more I know what to do in that moment, because when we're children, we don't know what to do. We think the adults are always right. We don't question them, because how can as a child, you're dependent on your caregiver. How can you, it doesn't even occur to you, that idea that they could be wrong. What we perceive is that we are wrong. We children, that's how we perceive it. When they yank us violently back into the range of permission, the permitted range of conduct. So whether that's religious or whether it's based on prestige or anything else, it's all the same mechanism. So we children think we are wrong, and boy does that feel bad, and that has a lasting effect on us. That causes insecurity on all levels. It causes terrible depression. It causes us to seek help and go to a psychiatrist. They don't know how to deal with this. They only know to give you some poison. That's not dealing with it. Okay. That's not helping us at all. I don't know what this is showing. I don't want to damage this. Probably not showing. It's now. I'm painting out of the range of the camera, but that's okay. To love a child, to really love a child and care for your child, means that you have to give up your self-images and your ego and the me, the I, the self, the image, the prestige, and all of this. You have to drop it. And if you can't drop it, you can't have children. That's all there is to it. You have to drop this. So, animals are easier going for people with neurosis, because the animals, there's not much of a hobby thing going on, except playing ball, chewing on a bone and stuff like this. So they don't challenge the ego very much because of this. And that's good. Okay. So there are rare occasions where people are completely crazy and where they perceive a challenge from an animal as well. And some extreme cases, I don't want to get into it now. It's real horrible. That's the worst. It's the worst thing. The animals are always innocent. But where ego becomes cruel to animals is when people are greedy, and when they exploit animals, and in factory farms, or when they're sadistic and when they want to hurt someone. So that's the situations. So ego, self-image, neurosis, that's always bad. It hurts yourself, it hurts others, it hurts other living beings. That's why it needs to be dissolved as soon as possible. And that's the real dealing with it. That's the real working on it. If you deal with it properly, if you really go into yourself, you stop projecting and expecting from others, then the relationships will start working. Then the communion with others, other living beings, animals and humans, will start working. Okay. Your communication with your horse will start to flourish if you do introspection and if you stop expecting something from your horse or animal or other person. The other being lives for his own purpose, for his own needs, his own well-being, his own beingness. When your neurosis comes in and starts to expect something that is totally off and wrong and unhealthy for that other being, then that's when the problems begin. Okay, that's where the miscommunication begins, also all the misunderstandings and the hurt and all of this, and the mistrust and all of this. So we can unravel that by going back into yourself and saying, oh, what did I do? How did I bring this situation on? And each individual person brings on any situation there is. We brought it on, even if it seems remote. We brought it on. Because you are the creator of your reality. This is a fact. It's true. Don't just take someone else's word for it. There are many people who have experienced it. But test it for yourself. Just put it to the test, and you will see. You are the creator and artist of your own reality. Just like I am making this art here. I am fully responsible for how this piece here turns out. I'm responsible for it. Even if my hand shakes, even if I'm sick with something, even if I can blame it on this, I can blame it on this. But ultimately, it is me who is responsible for these pain strokes. Okay? And I am also equally responsible for how my life turns out to be. This is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. They want to blame it on others. I know I've done it myself. Done it to an excess. It doesn't get us anywhere. That's the problem. It does not get you anywhere. And it's also not true. You can't blame it on someone else. Yeah, my parents have done a lot of mistakes. Let's learn from those mistakes. That's why I'm bringing them up. It's some grave mistakes. But they didn't know better. They were prisoners of their own pain. But it's important that we bring this to the surface, not in terms of finger pointing and saying, see what they did, no, my life is ruined. No, your life is not ruined. Yeah, it's a tough ride, I tell you that. But it's not ruined You can, wherever you are, you can make a U-turn. You can become conscious. That's why this consciousness process is so extremely important. The more conscious you become, the more you see about the past and about how to make it better. Yeah. In order to make things better, we have to look at the problems first. Here are the problems. Elon Musk always looks at the issues. These are the issues. Okay, let's fix them. It's very straightforward. He takes on saving life for all earthian beings. But, I don't expect that from every person. But, we mortals, we can also do it in our own lives. We can be the creators of our own lives. We can make it nice. We can save the well-being of our caretakers, of our proteges, animals and children. So we can make it good for them. Each person can do something to make it good. It's not Herculean. It's not that difficult. You just need to know what to do. Then you can do it. I have to have a plan in order to go from A to B. You have to have a plan for it. If you don't have a plan, then someone else will have a plan for you. That is so true. Those people who don't have plans, they are spotted from miles away by those who like to exploit. So don't let yourself go that path. You have to have a plan. You have to do a lot of introspection instead of just being like a seaweed who gets thrown around and then has anger attacks and has ego attacks and feels exploited and this and that. I see so many people doing this. And then they will blame others. Don't do that. Don't go that route. You have to have a plan. And you need to know. You need to know a little bit about human biology and how the human brain works and how most people are genetically, So you need to know about that. Not just know the law, that's important too. But you need to know how people function. How, don't leave this up to the corporate agenda. They know how people function. And they use it and they abuse it for their own purposes. So no, we need to know how people function in order to protect our family and ourselves. So, and that's why the technology is so important, because most people don't understand kindness, but they understand a camera on your roof. That they do. See, in that sense, you have to be loaded with security. They always say the most paranoid rich person is the safest rich person. That's the truth. Don't be afraid to be paranoid. You have every right to be. As Tony Robbins always said, tie up your camels and believe in God. That's what Tony Robbins said. It is a horrible, horrible thing to say. But what he meant is, secure your life, be an active participant in them. Be the creator in this. And then lean back and rest and don't fuss about it. Protect yourself and then play, have fun. So that's what he means by this. And that is the truth. So. But don't ever tie up a camel. And you should not believe in a religion. So I think Tony Robbins is religious. But I love that guy. He's amazing. He has done a lot for us. He's done a lot of thinking for you and for everyone. A lot of pondering, a lot of planning. Okay? And that's what everyone should do. You need to plan. If I don't have a plan, I feel completely like a seaweed, and and then sometimes I get mad in the process because I don't have a plan, and then I tend to get mad and I tend to blame it on others that I don't have a plan. Or I blame something on others, and then my childhood comes up and I go, oh, what they did to me is horrible. Yeah, it doesn't help me forward though. And I get very easily angry at other people's egos. But their egos they're just defense mechanisms. That's all it is. I'm not perfect either, so I shouldn't be throwing rocks out of a greenhouse. I'm not perfect either. I'm not a god. I'm not an angel yet. It will take me several more lifetimes. I don't know. But you know, we are where we are, and we can do something from where we are. We can start there where we are. And it's always perfect wherever you are. It's perfect. That's where you are. And you start from there. And you become more and more conscious. And you quit the substances. It's because as long as you take substances, you can't think clearly. You don't even, the ego will take over, and some people call it entities, but it's just the ego. It's ego. Maybe some other entity, some other ego energies they will latch onto it, and that might help. But it's the ego. If you have ego, then there's a lot of ego resonance happening with other egos as well. A lot of latching onto and a lot of ego influence. With ego, you get influenced by other egos. Okay? So shed the ego. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. Shed the ego. It's not scary to be free from ego. And people will say, who am I without that religion? Then I fall into an abyss. Then I'm not. Who am I then? You know? You still are you, the beautiful child of the infinite cosmos. Yeah. But without the self, without the me involved, without the storyline of my, personality, my my influence on others or whatever. That's all self. That's all ego. That has to go. Be a child. Become a child. We have to become children again. this terrible, terrible idea that we have to become someone. This has to go. It completely has to go. You don't become someone. You are already. You already are this amazing conglomeration of selves. That's a wonderful, amazing thing. Don't worry about what someone else thinks of your body or your mind. You are you, and you start there where you are, and you need to forgive yourself, and you need to love yourself, and you need to hold your arms across your chest. Listen to Dr. Kristen Neff on this. It's very important. Read the book by her husband, Rupert Isaacson, The Horse Boy. It's an amazing book. It's all about healing the mind, the body. I think that autism, when children have autism, I think that's an illness that has something to say to us. That is, I would not be surprised if we give our children the opportunity to go into nature, to be with animals, to find for themselves through artwork, through art expression, what's going on, where is the hook in it, where is the originator, the original energy blockage, where is it, does it come from a past life? Giving them an opportunity to holistically go into it and heal it, not through drugs. Drugs prevent that healing process. All drugs prevent the real healing process from happening. They're just an intervention. Fever, for example, should not be suppressed, as anything should not be suppressed. Don't suppress anything in yourself or your children. If your child is gay, don't suppress it. That just means the child is gay, okay? So if this falls out of the yank back range of the parent, then the parent needs to heal. That means that is your chance now to do the healing process. And your religion stands in the way of that healing process. That is an absolute fact. Religion is a collective ego dictation. That's what that is. It is sickness. It's a collective sickness. And it needs to be healed. You need to heal yourself from that. Free yourselves and become you. Not as in becoming, but as in being you again. The you is still there underneath all of that clutter. Take the clutter off and there is you. Take the falseness off. The religion is falseness. Take it off. If your son is gay, that means he is gay. That's a biological thing. It's not a choice. Same as being straight is not a choice. I am straight, so I can't help it that I like guys. I like specific guys, like Vin Diesel. I can't help it, that's who I am. I'm not going to lie about that. Why should I? Why should we lie about our preferences and all of this? Whatever it is, it's none of anyone else's business. Bill Clinton likes women like Hillary and Monica Lewinsky. That's his preference, and has been exploited by the corporate agenda against him because they set him up with Monica Lewinsky. But still, his business. He, even if he's president, or Donald Trump, they're presidents, and it's still their business. They're still human. Okay, they're still animals. They still have sexual needs, and there's nothing wrong with that. The sexual needs, they have been shamed by religion again, by ego, by society, and by extreme neurosis. Extreme neurosis in humans has shamed sexuality. And everything around it, everything that has to do with it. And so people run around with this shame. They need to free themselves from that, the shame about nudity, being ashamed about their breasts and vaginas and penises and all of this. That has to go, my goodness. That is so regressive. It has to go. And then when a woman does show herself, then she's being lusted after, of course, like that. For example, I was thinking about this earlier, Patricia Peters, a highly neurotic woman, of course. Highly neurotic. I mean, like trampled into the ground as a child. So, and then later on, she's, they pack the suitcases on her, and then they say, now fly, now function normally, after they have been trampled her almost to death. And then she's supposed to be the normal person, functioning and everything fantastic. No, oh gosh, her life is a rocky road now because of this. But I think she is alert enough to pay attention to people, and to also to have enough kindness to listen to someone like freely, at least in terms of ethics, knowing and being willing to look at the footage and seeing, this is what's happening, and having a heart and crying for the animals. She's not dead inside. They haven't deadened her. Okay, so they have destroyed her a lot, but there's still an inner child that is still there, and that child has compassion, and that's a wonderful thing. And then she apologized, and she realized that she was just acting up, like like a like a kid with a temper tantrum, so like exploring, the weakness of others, and being a bully, being a troll, and all of this. This is like this is a regressive childhood state that happens to people when they have been trampled on. Happened to me too. And then when alcohol is involved, then it just gets worse and worse and worse, of course. And there's no more clarity of mind. Healing process. The healing is very difficult. You cannot heal, I don't think, and that's also why Dr. Arthur Janov, who is the founder of primal therapy, that's why he said you cannot do a healing session, you cannot do a therapy session when you are under the influence of alcohol or anything else. It doesn't work. Okay, then the brain is not receptive to do the healing process. You have to be sober for it. It's like Christian Thielemann doesn't drink a week before he goes to Bayreuth and conducts the orchestra there. So, for Richard Wagner. Because it requires his full mind clarity. and also presence, emotional presence. How can you be emotionally present with anything if you are under the influence of any kind of substance, of any kind of neurotoxin? It doesn't work that way, right? So anyway, that Patricia Peters, this is one perfect example of, in regards to how people react to her. The men lust after her. This is a fact. This is a fact. It's a biological fact. There's also nothing wrong with it. They lust after her. They secretly, do their up-reacting and do their fantasizing and their metabolizing over her. So, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong. That is the way it is, and we have entered into the age of porn now, where men feel safer masturbating than having an actual interaction with another person in a relationship sense, in a sexual relationship or encounter sense. So they've become more and more withdrawn in the terms of socialization, which is very, very sad. But they lust after her, and outwardly they would never admit to that. Okay? So wouldn't it be so much better if one of these fans that she has, one of those male fans that have her secretly in their bedroom in terms of computer image, okay? If they came out of that closet of secretly adoring her and came out in the open and said, I have a crush on Patricia Peters, let me write a love letter to her. So go ahead and write a real love letter. Don't be afraid if she might pick you, or you, or you, and say, hey, come on over. Let's have a tea together. Let's drink an iced tea together somewhere. Do it. Yeah? And face whatever comes up. And most of all, face society. Go with her into a public place. Or go with anyone like her. Any girl who is very girly and who is chubby and who has big boobs and who has big butt and who's very girly and bubbly, and that's what men like. That's what almost all men, I think all men like it, but they don't admit it. But have the guts to do it. Have the guts to take a woman like her out into public and let the people whisper and let them gossip. And so what? Okay, let that ruin your shit reputation. Let it ruin it. Go like, that's my problem. That's not your problem. It's my business. Okay, who I go to dinner with, not anyone else's. Let that, if they have a problem with that, then that's their problem. It's not my problem. It's my business who I engage with. It's Donald Trump's business whom he has sex with. It could be anyone, a porno star, it doesn't matter. Bill Clinton, it doesn't matter. If it's someone hired to set him up. He didn't even know that it was so wrong what they did to him with that Monica Lewinsky. They hired this woman to set him up, and I know this because my parents they have personal contact to people that are insiders into this. So that's why I know this. And the more I learn about these conspiracies, the actual conspiracies, It's not a theory anymore. There are actual conspiracies going on. There's a collaboration, and it's not about that what's being portrayed in public, the strawman stories. No, the actual conspiracies, it's just about money. That's all it is, and nothing else. There's absolutely nothing else involved. There's no cultism and no, it's not about some kind of secret societies. No, there are some secret societies that think they have power, but they don't. They would like to be seen as powerful. They do all kinds of things to try to obtain power. It's because that they come from the ego perspective. It's like, I want enlightenment so I can have power. That's the point of view they come at it. They want to do magic on people so they feel like they have power. But that's not power. That's not empowerment. That's just there's yoga tricks and practices and tantra and stuff like this. That's not power. That's just practices, meditation, yoga practices. That's all it is. It's mind, or mind power, mental. How do I call this? These are mind exercises that anyone can do. What really matters is what comes from underneath. Yeah. The kindness, the compassion is the truth. That's what really matters. If things come from kindness and compassion, then we're talking real business. So if it comes from just self-aggrandization and power and wanting money, then that's not empowerment. That's unempowerment. People who want power are unempowered. That's a fact. People should know this. So that's why it's so important that people learn to understand, to unravel all of this, unravel these lies that they have for themselves, unravel all of these lies, and come back to being a child. Drop all of these falsenesses, drop all of this wanting power and money and all of this, and be child, be you. That's the real life. That otherwise you bypass living. And you always feel a void, no matter where you get to in your life, no matter how much power you will have physically over other people. You will always be in this void unless you unravel this and drop all of this and rescue these people and rescue the beings. Rescue the pigs out of the slaughter facilities. Rescue the animals that are being exploited and tortured for money and greed and sadistic things. Sickness. Let it go, drop it, let the animals out. If you let the animals out, you let your own child out. You free the animals, you freed your own child. Because your inner child doesn't want the animals to be tortured. Even your brain cells, as I said so many times, even your brain cells don't want to hurt any other living being. It is the ego that wants it. The ego is the one that drives the greed. So, Bill Clinton's love life is his love life. It's not your love life. It's not your business. Donald Trump's love life is his business. Trisha Paytas' love life is her business. And anyone who loves her has the right to love her. Anyone who, I mean by, love as in real love and as in sexual desire. So anyone who desires her has the right to desire her and shouldn't be ashamed about it. Just because it goes against the society code of conduct, that's That's what my parents do. That's this, you shall only be thin. That's total bullshit and bypass living. You know, you should you should live your life to the fullest. You know, that means you go for the woman you really desire, not for the stick figure who you can show off as your trophy wife or whatever. But for, you know, for you want a real fleshy, a real wife, a real woman who is a real woman, who really feels it. And to the stick figures out there, my goodness, shed the ego and eat, baby. Eat. Eat whole vegan food and be zesty and love your life and love your bodies and live your life. For the first time, my goodness, live your lives, okay? And be good to all beings. You guys take care. Bye.